morning, Robert. Thank you so much for having us. Can you share why you set up a wildlife conservation museum?
Well, as you know, Ton, I was born in Holland, and at the age of 9, I moved to Canada. And Holland's below sea level, no mountains, not much wildlife. And when I got to Canada, it was just totally amazing for me, seeing Dall sheep, mountain goats, all kinds of, couple species of deer. And I was so intrigued with it because I'd never seen nothing like that. And then in 1961, I moved to Las Vegas, and I started collecting small specimens, some birds and lizards and things. And then when I was old enough to go hunting, probably the age of 16 or so, I shot my first mule deer. And the camaraderie with my friends and sitting around campfires, it was really enjoyable. And then when I did finally get my first deer, I had it taxidermied, and when I got looking at it, I thought it was so great because it was all new to me. I made up my mind that I wanted to collect specimens for conservation and not have a trophy room, and that's when my goal started to do a museum.
And how is the museum aiding animal conservation and fighting the challenges to wildlife?
Well, 40, 50 years ago, things were different. You could just go over the counter and buy a tag to go hunting. But now, the growth of population, our environment has changed. It's a lot harder to collect specimens. For a perfect example, like my sheep, it took 28 years to draw a tag because they only live in a couple states. It's hard to have a vision from 50 years ago, now that I'm at this stage, and I'm glad I did because collecting the specimens that I have can never be collected again. Some you can't bring in the country, some are more endangered than others due to our environment through the years. A lot of specimens and species have disappeared, dwindled.
Robert, who are the visitors to the museum?
Well, I'm so glad you asked me that question, Tom, because being here in Bryce Canyon, I'm dealing with 80% of people from all over the world, like Holland, Belgium, Germany, France, Israel. It's very rewarding because the people enjoy it so much, seeing these animals all in their natural habitat. They get impressed with the little detail, and that just pushes me harder and harder to get every little fine detail to as natural as possible.
And what kind of questions do you get the most from your visitors, Robert?
It's some of them are just, it's unbelievable how the different questions I get. They want to know what's inside the animal. Some people still think there's bones or meat inside. I try to explain the whole process that we take the skin, it has to be cured to a tanning situation, and then it has to be wetted and stretched and put over the forms. And since polyurethane came out, in the old days it was cardboard and you couldn't alter your animals as much. But once polyurethane came out, I had the opportunity to make animals look like they were drinking water. I could change the forms with a bobcat playing with a kitten, which was 40 years ago you couldn't do that. And it's very rewarding that I teach people what the difference is between a mule deer and a white-tailed deer, because the horns are completely different, and they ask me all these kind of questions. And I've separated the museum into American, African, and Alaska, so it's not so confusing. Like all the scenes are broke up into special things for the American room, because we do have so many specimens. But the questions they ask, they're all different kinds, and it's very rewarding.
Robert, how do the visitors react to the presentation of the animals?
It's totally amazing, Tom. The people have hundreds of questions on all different kinds from all over the world, of course. A lot of them don't know the difference between a mule deer or whitetail. There are different branch, horns, antlers, I should say. Antlers fall off, horns always keep growing. The kids have phenomenal questions. Where did I get the snake? Where did the lizard come from? How do you do that? How do you catch them? It's been very rewarding to answer all the questions. It's a great feeling that I'm teaching some people about wildlife and conservation.
I understand you work with the Government Division of Wildlife Resources. How is that working?
Yes, Tom, they've been very helpful. They've helped me a lot by giving me the paperwork for Gila monsters, desert tortoises, because you can't take them specimens and can't hunt them. And they've been very helpful with me at that. Like I'm in Utah and we have the Utah prairie dogs, totally endangered. But they gave me a special permit that I can have 14 of them. And sometimes I find one run over on the highway. Sometimes there's a depredation where there's too many on a farmland and the farmer gets to take 5, where I collect the species that way.
So the museum is recognized as a place for wildlife conservation and education?
Oh, it's totally for conservation. The people love it. It's the natural habitat. That's the whole secret. And that's been my goal for so many years, that everything has to be as natural as possible.
You must be getting great feedback from your visitors, Robert.
It's funny you say that, because every day I get to look at my guest book and what people write as comments. Excuse me, age has crawled up with me. I'll need to put on my glasses here. Oh, for example, Tom, well, here's a guy from Texas. He said, "Holy cow, that's a lot of butterflies." And here's another one from Utah. Awesome collection. Such an amazing collection. I didn't have the words. So much to see. Have to come back for more. God, unlike anything we have seen. 5-star. Sometimes it's hard to read somebody's handwriting, and here's somebody from Germany. Wow, thank you for sharing this amazing collection. Wonderful, amazing, wunderbar. Yes, Don, I could show you pages after pages. This is my incredible display. Beautiful, what a labor of love. So talented, we'll be back. Here's another one, very, very cool, loved it, amazing. This is my reward, Tom. Every evening when I get close, I stop and read all these comments, and that gives me the drive even to do much more than I can. I hope to add on to the museum because I need another 6,000 square feet. I just have to convince the wife.
Those are beautiful comments. Like your visitors, what strikes me is the natural look of the animals. The way you present the animals is very different from displays in other museums.
I think about it and try to do it as natural and as close as the real thing. And that's been my goal through all these years on this museum. Like on the beaver dam scene, I took a horse with another horse with a backpack on it, had to collect the real trees where they chewed on, the chippings from the trees, from their teeth. The beaver dam itself, I collected a abandoned beaver dam and collected all the wood and had to rebuild it. The cattails, all the little things to make it just the way I saw it.
Robert, if people want to visit the museum, how can they find it?
Well, at the modern days nowadays, BryceWildlifeAdventure.com is the best way. I got a great sign. The motif outside is Western theme. Get a referral from visitor center, word of mouth from the locals, the few bus companies. It's a little bit of everything. It all adds up, but word of mouth has been a big step.
You've spent a lifetime collecting animals and building the museum. How do you see the future?
Well, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I want to add about 6,000 more square feet because I still have 40 different specimens, the skin secured, and I want to have a waterhole scene, which I've never seen in any museum. All these animals we have to be custom done, drinking water, and I'll have about 7 specimens drinking water, with 2 specimens fighting with the horns, where one impala look up with water dripping from her chin. I've got it all in my head. That just time and money, but I will do it, and that's my goal.
Robert, this is a beautiful set. Bobcats are elusive animals, but you have quite a few here.
Yeah, it seems like all cats are very elusive, but the bobcats, people don't see them very much. And all these cats, a little female, great Tom. But my favorite thing is this is all custom made. They don't make these forms. I had to alter all this. Took about a half a year. This little kitten was run over by a car in front of me in Arizona, and I got to the Department of DWR, and all that has helped me out with these kind of things.
Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about your impressive museum. I'm sure that our viewers will love to see it.
I think they will. I sure hope so, and I really appreciate everything.